Namaste. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. I'm grateful to be here. Hello all those watching in the future. You're ironically the first person here, even though you're very late. But our first guests are joining here in real time. Welcome dear Lily Salazar, dear Raven, hello dear Janet, Jeff, Jesse and Nancy. Welcome Elias, hello dear Puruṣa. Grateful to have you here, everyone. May the space be one for us all to come together as fellow students of life, to uplift each other, share each other, relate in each other's experiences, and share positive sentiments. I'd love to know how you're feeling if you want to share anyone. Good to know what kind of space to hold for you today. And please remember that if you are going through anything difficult at this time, that this too shall pass. Hello, Elias. Hello, dear Keela Bite, Sam, Bastion Silva. Thank you for liking the live, dear Raven. You guys are fast. I mean, not even 2 minutes, and we already have more than 100 likes. That's ridiculous. Never expected, nor necessary. But, you know, it does help push the live stream to a larger audience if you feel like others could benefit from this space. Hello, dear Danny, and thank you for your heart me. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. You were very quick today, dear Raven. Yes, welcome. Allow me to begin with an invocation of a Shanti mantra, a peace prayer from the ancient Taittiriya and Katha Upanishads. It goes like this in Sanskrit. Aum Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karva Vahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvisha Vahai. Aum Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May the divine protect us both together. May the divine nourish us both together. May our studies be vigorous and effective, and may we not mutually dispute or hate any. So welcome. Hello, dear I don't know. How can I be of service? Hello, Teresa. I have listened to the first few meditations from the Waking Up app, dear Bastion Silva. And I really like Sam Harris's approach. I haven't gone that far into it, however, but so far I'm liking it. And I'm grateful that it's been helpful for you. Yeah, it's very simple, which is just what you need without all the fluff. Good for a universal template for meditation. Hello, Om Tat Sat, and thank you, Tattva-masi, for your half a dozen roses. Jaya Nisargadatta Vairāgya. Hello, dear Kimmy. Why don't we start with a nice deep breath together, everyone? Thank you, Dalitha, for the heart me you sent as well. Radhe, Radhe. Today we're going to start with Śravaṇa, dedicated to listening. We're going to listen to a song submitted by one of you for show and tell. Then we're going to listen to the end of the 7th chapter of the 3rd act of the book The Journey Home. That'll be Śravaṇa. Then we'll transition into Manana, section dedicated to exploring whatever's in our hearts and minds. We'll do some Q&A. We'll have a question of the day. And we'll also have an intermission where we listen to Rumi, the Sufi poet. And we'll end with a meditation of a peace mantra. And that'll be today's Sangha. I'll try to keep it shorter than I did yesterday, although I know many of you love the longer live streams. Dean, I also feel very lucky to have been blessed with another day and another chance to be here with you. Welcome. Namaste, dear Chloe. So let's get the show on the road. You got some strawberry yogurt, Marcy, with banana and pecan granola sangha snack. Delicious and nutritious. So we're going to listen to a show and tell submission by the Only S, aka Stevie G. He has submitted a new song that he made with Tyler called Driving Through the Silence. Let me read to you first what he wrote about it. He shared that this is the last song that he made with Tyler. This was indeed such a beautifully deep song. I have one verse in this song. In this verse, you could say I'm talking or singing to a girl I broke up from, or you could say I'm talking or singing to the silence, aka the divine, aka the source. I will leave that up to you. I see it as all the same. I switched speaking from the 3rd person to the 1st person. This song hasn't been released yet. I think I will drop it on the 21st of March. But anyways, enjoy. Here it is.
I took a summer drive to ease my mind. With every mile I drove, hoping I'd finally leave behind every thought of you and every sign. But here I am swerving out of these parallel lines, and everything you said was bullshit. Pushing that pedal to the metal till this engine burns out. Never thought you'd leave me stranded. Now I'm stuck on this drive and the brakes won't give out. Now I'm driving through the silence, and the ghost of you is haunting me in the passenger seat. And all these times I take a violin, 'cause all I think about is this love we used to breathe. I thought we found forever, but forever slipped away. Now I'm lost in the rear view and you're fading away.
The silence is supposed to be my friend, but both relationships seem to take an end. But I hear God now screaming, please take my hand. But I say it's too late, like the glass ran out of sand. This was supposed to be what I really wanted, but this is like taking candy from a baby. I cried 'cause you took it from me. Why'd you take it from me? Please give me clarity. I wanna know. Why did you take my candy?
Now I'm driving through the silence,
And the ghost of you is haunting me. The passenger seat, and all these turns to take a violin. Cause all I think about is this love we used to bring. I thought we'd find forever, but forever slipped away. I'm lost in the rear view and you're fading away.
now I'm driving through the silence, when it's supposed to be just one midsummer drive.
Thank you for listening, everyone. And thanks to dear Stevie G for sharing that. Very pretty. I think that was Stevie G's best song yet. So I'm really grateful to have that opportunity to listen to it with you. You like it, dear Riri? Me too. That is Driving Through the Silence. That is our show and tell. And if you ever wanted to share something too, do check out the submission form in the link tree in the bio where you can submit something like that, just as Stevie G did. Welcome everyone that joined while we were listening. Hello dear Jacqueline. Hello Riri. Hello Caitlin. Hello dear Emiliana. Hello dear Lauren. I am 23 in this body, dear butterfly. Thank you Neon Jello Pack for your heartbeat. Om Namah Shivaya. Welcome, dear Fabio. Neil, the real deal. Hello, Emily Lightwolf. Thank you, dear whoever I become. So that's halfway through our Śravaṇa already. The other thing we are going to do is continue through the 7th chapter of The Journey Home. We'll finish this chapter today. So I invite you to listen with me as we continue, where we left off. I think you're gonna like this. Hello, dear Micheline. So we continue through the 7th chapter of the 3rd act of The Journey Home. May this reading relax your mind and awaken your heart. Let's dive right into it. My path continued to be rife with experiences both dark and light, each experience offering me a window into the different worlds that might await me were I to take certain turns and not others. Most of the sadhus, wandering spiritual seekers common in India, who greeted me upon my return to Janakpur were old enough to be my grandfathers. I was praying in the Janaki temple when, to my surprise, a young Nepalese student by the name of Vishnu Prasad approached me. Well dressed with a round face and pious demeanor, he was so fascinated to see a Western youth who had taken to the life of a sadhu that he invited me to his home in the village of Brahmapur. His home there was like a beautiful ashram, the wealth of the family evident in bright furnishings, carpets, brass vessels, and flower gardens. As I entered, Vishnu's mother and father cordially greeted me and served me a sumptuous meal of spiced vegetables in aromatic sauces and rice glistening with clarified butter. I happily spent several days there. Uncles, aunts, and cousins all lived under one roof, but I never heard a single voice rise in anger. They had nothing but respect for one another. In the morning, The children respectfully touched the feet of their parents, and the parents in turn offered blessings. No matter what their age, the children, even the teenagers, were naturally obedient to their elders, and the younger children showed honor to the eldest son as the representative of the parents. Having been brought up in the 1960s America, I experienced this teenage respectfulness as a pleasant kind of culture shock. Moreover, every inch of the home was immaculately clean, except me. I felt like a disheveled mendicant in a haven of class and refinement. My body looked quite beaten down, and taking note of this, the family gave me a medicinal balm for my bruised, cracked feet. Although they offered me my own room with a comfortable bed, I chose to sleep in the garden, under an ashoka tree. Each morning and evening, the family members would gather together for worship ceremonies in their small temple of Lord Rama in the center of the home, where, during the day, the women performed various devotions. I found nothing but happiness in their home. In the evenings, I sat with Vishnu Prasad in a pleasant garden among the marigolds, roses, and flower-bearing trees. Tara Prasad, his father, sometimes sat with us. A wealthy man with a wife and children, his purity of character was impressive, more so than any of the ascetics I had encountered. Spirituality is a matter of the heart, I pondered. The more I grew to love Vishnu Prasad's family members, the more of a friend he became to me. From these gentle souls, I learned much about the traditions of family life in the East. Most importantly, my realization that true spirituality comes in many forms was confirmed. However, I could not stay too long in these comfortable surroundings, for I had chosen the life of an ascetic. When it was time to go, the whole family saw me to the gate. There I was, crying, as I turned and walked off down the brick path, and so was I. They were crying as I turned and walked off down the brick path, and so was I. From Janakpur, I traveled back to Kathmandu Valley, just below the hill of Bodhnath, 7 miles east of the city. In a grove of flowering trees, I meditated. Opening my eyes, I looked up to a magnificent rainbow arching over the entire Himalayan valley that glowed against an indigo backdrop of monsoon clouds. I took a deep breath, drinking in a breeze of cool, earthly air. Soon, stomping footsteps nudged me out of my dreamy state and drew my attention to a European tourist marching through the field and carrying a large bag of groceries. Well over 6 feet tall, blonde, with muscles bulging from beneath his t-shirt, he had the physique of a bodybuilder. Suddenly, from out of the forest, a gang of brown monkeys surrounded him. Although each monkey was only a fraction of his size, they knew how to find his weakest point and attack. They snarled and bared their teeth, threatening with intimidating gestures. While holding the groceries in one of his massive arms, he hoisted a sizable rock in the other hand, and, whooping like a warrior, threatened to pulverize the little bandits. But the monkeys were unfazed and only snarled louder. They took small leaps toward their target, succeeding in attacking his mind. Paralyzed with fright, the Hulk could only tremble like a scared child. Finally, one of the little monkeys stalked right up to him and seized the whole grocery bag from his hands. He didn't even resist. While the monkeys clustered around the bag to devour the groceries, they paid him no heed. Reduced to a bundle of nerves, the He-Man slipped away. Seconds later, a skinny little Nepalese boy of about 8 years old appeared on the scene. The gang of monkeys had just begun feasting on their booty, but stirred with apprehension upon seeing the tiny boy. The child skipped toward them with a stone in his hand. The gang of bandits screeched, terror in their eyes. Suddenly, they abandoned the food and fled in all directions. The little boy collected up all the groceries and sat down to dine. Meanwhile, the monkeys anxiously watched from a distance. I was amazed. What had just happened here? That playful boy was hardly the weight of one bicep of the Herculean European. The monkeys were unfazed by the threats of the giant because they sensed fear in his mind. But they feared the child because he had no fear of them. What did this mean for me and my ever-narrowing path to God? I thought of the pack of wild dogs and of Vasudeva's frightening tale of the evil black tundrik. I considered my fear of coming under the spell of an unscrupulous guru were I to choose too hastily, but I could see how fear could block my progress. We are vulnerable to defeat when our minds succumb to fear. The foreigner was unfamiliar with monkeys, but the Nepalese taught had lived around monkeys all of his life. So we fear that we don't know. Through knowledge of our spiritual nature and sincere faith in the divine, we can overcome all fear. Please, Lord, bless me with such courage as I find my way to you. As I pondered these thoughts, the smiling boy ran up to me and offered some bananas from the grocery bag. The monkeys chattered with excitement, marking me as a prospective victim. They made me realize that I had more in common with that European than I would like to think. Feeling I had a long way to go on my path to reach the innocent, fearless faith of this child, I politely declined. While wandering in the forests, I came upon Sita Rama Baba, an extraordinary soul whom I fondly remember as the Standing Baba, a bearded man of 62 with large brown eyes and a rugged complexion. Sita Rama Baba wore a simple one-piece pullover of burlap from neck to ankles. When I asked him why he wore only burlap, he replied that the coarse, itching texture of burlap kept him always in an uncomfortable condition. This, he said, helped him to always seek comfort in remembering Rama. Even more amazing to me were the wooden splints he kept tied around his ankles. Strange as his appearance was, he immediately treated me with the love of a father for a son. Like yogis I had met in the Himalayas, Sita Rama Baba followed extreme vows far beyond the vow of celibacy. He vowed to always stand on his feet and never sit or lay down. That is why he wore wooden splints around his ankles to support his body. For almost 50 years he had observed this penance. Along with his begging pot and prayer beads, he carried a rope and a wooden plank that he would hang from a tree branch like a swing. At night he would lean on this and sleep standing up. He also followed vows to never sleep inside walls and, besides being a vegetarian, never ate grains or beans. I witnessed the severity of this dietary vow. Wandering mendicants typically subsist on the inexpensive foods that people give easily in charity, foods such as rice, dal, or rotis, unleavened wheat bread, all of which contained grains or beans. We wandered together. Every day, Sita Rama Baba would blissfully beg rice and dal for me, collect wood, and build a fire under an improvised stove made of rocks, all the while standing or squatting. When the food was cooked, he lovingly offered it to a picture of his beloved Lord Rama with prayers and mantras, and then gave it all to me. But I was curious. What did he eat? During my stay with him, I never saw him eat anything more than a handful of cheap peanuts given to him while begging. That's all he could collect, what wouldn't violate his diet. Yet he was so happy to take pains to feed me nicely. He would explain that to show love for God, one must affectionately serve his children. One day, when Sita Rama Baba received a few vegetables while begging door to door, I was overjoyed. Finally, here was something for him to eat besides raw peanuts. My heart sank, though when he served my meal, and I saw that he had cooked all of the vegetables into the rice and dal and kept nothing for himself. He was joyful. Fascinated, I scrutinized him, but I found nothing artificial about him. He was utterly sincere in his devotion. I once asked Baba, "Why do you follow such difficult vows?" Meekly, he replied, "It helps me to be focused on my spiritual practices, and I am happy." And amazingly, he really was. Early morning, before the light of day, I sat under a tree in the forest while contemplating this amazing person. I could not understand his strange vows. They seemed excessive and even unnecessary, but still, he had attracted my sincere love and trust. It is said that artificial austerity makes the heart hard, but his heart was soft and filled with humility, compassion, and devotion. Lord Jesus said, "You can judge a tree by its fruit." Although his appearance appeared to be a strange tree, the ripened fruits are sweet. In Sita Rama Baba's company, a question brewed in my mind. Most of the yogis I had encountered meditated on God as an impersonal force, while he and others meditated on the Lord as an all-loving person. Rama Sevak Swami served Lord Rama in such a personal way also. Srila Prabhupada too expressed such genuine love for Lord Krishna as an all-attractive person. Did this contradict the beliefs of those yogis who strove to merge their souls into a supreme impersonal oneness? Did it conflict with the practices of Buddhists who strove for a perfection of a quality-less nirvana? As a child, I had naturally prayed to God in a personal way, but as I studied philosophies, I found more and more leanings toward God being an all-pervading existence. While strolling together down a forest path one day, I inquired of Baba, "Is God ultimately impersonal or a person?" Coming to an abrupt halt, his bushy brown eyebrows tightened, and his face, marked with the deep furrows of a rugged life, cringed. He sighed. How could our Lord have less personality and form than we have? He has everything, without limit. He shook his head. This misunderstanding breaks my heart. His reaction struck me. I was becoming more aware of this fundamental disagreement over the ultimate nature of the Supreme Lord. Was he an impersonal, disembodied force, or was he the Supreme Person? In a way, it was the same question I'd asked myself as a child, trembling during thunderstorms. Who was God? Was he comforting like my parents, or as formless as the wind? I was wrestling to reconcile this philosophical issue, and knew the answer would help me choose my path, but I couldn't find the missing piece in the puzzle. I had been meeting wonderful souls who held both opposing views. Days later, as I left Sita Rama Baba, I contemplated that how much one loves God is not something that can always be measured by looking at external forms. On one hand, I found holy people working jobs and raising families, and on the other, I found this eccentric hermit of the forest. But what they all had in common was their humility, a deep focus on spiritual practices, and an unquenchable thirst to serve. Pardon me. Thank you for listening. Now we've come to the end of the 7th chapter of the 3rd act of the journey home. I'm grateful for having you here. If you have any insights, please feel free to share them. And I look forward to continuing this story with you the next time we read. But that concludes our Śravaṇa portion of our Sangha, the beginning section dedicated to listening. Happy to listen to the song in our show and tell and that reading. If you ever want to listen to those things but you joined late, not only do I post the whole live streams on my YouTube channel, but I also clip out those sections, put them in their own playlists, just in case you wanted to catch up on those things ever. Welcome those who joined while we were reading. We can turn our attention now to Manana, the segment of Sangha dedicated to Q&A, and we can explore whatever's in our hearts and minds. Thank you to those who sent a gift whilst we read too, and your patience in acknowledging you. Thank you, dear Mermander, for the fortune kitty. That's very fun. And for the heart me, cheer you up, and team bracelet. Hare Krishna. And Raven, thank you for your quintet of finger hearts. We have a question of the day up here. Thank you, dear Jessica, for your rose. Om Kam Jahnavya. And dear Oren, thank you for your heart me. Radhe, Radhe. And thank you, Franklin, for your heart me too. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I actually didn't mean to have my question of the day up. Yeah. But we can explore it nonetheless. Glad you liked the book, dear John. My attention is now officially back in the comment section. I know, there are many characters in our book that sounds like Tarzan, dear Talitha. Hello, Muse. Is there some identity theft going on? In chat, people stealing each other's profile pictures. We ultimately do share one identity, don't we? Thank you, dear Kristen. Oh, I'm grateful to have you here, dear Muse. Yeah. Alright, dear Talitha, you had an answer to our question of the day, which is, in what way is the divine personal? And in what way is it impersonal? Talitha, you think we all have the capacity to experience it. Indeed. Mermander, you shared something we all share. The divine in me recognizes the divine in you. I like that. Hello, Shorihasya Chitrakara. Are you feeling better, my friend? How is your tummy? How is your whole body? You share, this is a funny little question. It is, isn't it? Hello, dear gardening Greg RG. You share that the divine is personal when you look at me or anyone, and the divine is impersonal when you look at nature. I like that perspective. That's nice. Yeah, I see the truth in that. And dear Kristen, you feel that as if the divine understands the full depth and complexity of emotions and how they interact with our planet and environment, all life. Absolutely. Yeah. Dear Colonel, you ask if this is a rewording of the duality/non-duality question. Indeed, it is. Good observation. Raven, you share the divine is personal in the sense that we are divine and we are people. And impersonal in the sense that we cannot become formless. Well said. Yeah, it's a funny little question for funny little guys. I agree, Gregor T. The bubbles are on the mend. You thank me for all the love and energies they're helping. Oh, good. Did you know that if you want to create bubbles that are less susceptible to popping, being damaged, last longer, more bouncy, then you add a little sugar. Just a little bit to your mixture of soap and water. Just a tiny little bit of sugar. The sugar crystals help stabilize it. Maybe there's symbolism there for you, dear bubbles. Make sure you're getting some natural sugars. Welcome to Yam's Bubble Tips. Indeed. And hello, dear Mukti. Mermander, you ask me how I feel about the divine being personal or impersonal. I'll absolutely share. Thank you for asking, but I'd love to give you all the floor first. Riri, you share it's personal because it is who we are deep down, and impersonal because everything is vibrating energy. I like that. Well said. Just a little sweetness. Bubbles gets the dessert pass. I hope all of you get the dessert pass. I think we're really hard on ourselves. Sometimes a little too unnecessarily. Make sure that you give yourself a little sweet treat. For me. You are all my sweet treat. Hello, dear Alex and Troy. Well, I like the answers that we've been exploring so far for our question of the day. I'd be happy to continue exploring it. However, another answer from Bubbles G. Your answer is that there's a certain intimacy with something you know you can't possess. I like that. Yeah. If you ever want to remember the difference between spelling dessert and desert, just remember that dessert has two S's. For sweet stuff. Sweet something, I can't remember. How does it go? Sweet. Dessert is twice as nice. I like that. That's better. Thank you, Mermander. Hello, dear Enchantress Theodora. Thank you for your pair of roses. Om Shri Ganeshaya Nama. Dear Marcy, you share it is personal by being internal, but also personal by being the separation between the unseen. That is beautiful. beautiful, dear Marcy. I think we are feeling a little silly tonight. I concur, dear Mermander. Yeah, I'm feeling the silly gooseness of us all. Thank you, Enchantress Theodora, for a heartbeat too. I've given you a lot to think about with this question of the day, dear Neon Jello Pack. Oh, good. Happy to hear that. Yeah, if you ever want to express that you're thinking about this question of the day but don't have an answer, it's a beautiful thing to say. Thank you. Dear Crossfires, you share that impersonal could, for example, be today fasting. Your own deep thoughts and walks personal. That's very interesting. I see how you've interpreted that. Yeah. Impersonal in the sense of taking something away from the personal, like food during Ramadan as an austerity. Dear the free bumblebee, you share the divine is personal in the sense that we can access it through our mind and senses, and impersonal in the sense that each person has their own experience. It's fascinating, all the different perspectives to our question of the day. Thank you. That's an interesting idea too, dear Colonel. Maybe there are two gods. One personal and one impersonal. That's a unique idea. What pond did I walk into? Shares Neon Jello Pack. So many silly geese. Thank you, Mermander, for your relaxed goose. That's very funny. Om Som Suryaya Nama. Hello, dear awakening Brahman. Om Ram Brahmane Nama. Alright, I'll give you my thoughts. Thank you for asking. Shri Hasya Chitrakar. I liken the personal and impersonal aspect of the divine to Prakṛti and Puruṣa. These are ancient Sanskrit words. They form as a binary pair that are inseparable along a spectrum of becoming. It all starts with Puruṣa, the primordial consciousness, which is impersonal. This is the void. This is the nothingness. This is the Nirguna Brahman, the form of the ultimate Brahman, which is without quality. That serves as the basis, the foundation, the background layer of reality, which stores all of the space in its potential for what is to become of it. And what becomes of it is the Prakṛti, is the nature, is the senses, the sight, the sound, the smell, the tastes. All of that is the personal form of the divine that's so intimate that we experience with and as our bodies and minds. And that is the divine feminine, the form that carries the source. This is the divine mother and the divine father. So the mother is personal as the whole universe, as creation herself, as the creativity herself, and the divine is impersonal in the Holy Father, as the spirit that pervades all. But that's just my perspective. perspective. If you want to continue exploring this question of the day with me, I'd be grateful to, but I'll pause it there for now. Boop, you add to that the divine is personal because it's for our highest good, and impersonal for everyone's highest good. Dear unknown, you share that you feel lost and you feel that a lack of knowledge. What do? Remember that you have everything you need within your experience already, because there are two types of knowledge. There's worldly knowledge known as aparavidya, and then there's spiritual knowledge known as paravidya. Worldly knowledge is what we get from books, from teachers, from courses, from classes, from videos, from podcasts, from others, external to our experience. Worldly knowledge is good for learning how to adapt in this world, but we're not born with it, and we also don't get to keep it into our next life. We have to learn all the worldly things all over again. The good news is that your happiness is embraced not through worldly knowledge, but through spiritual knowledge. And that paravidya is distinct from aparavidya in that it's already imminent in your experience. So when it comes to the feeling of being lost or found, all of that is merely an expression of how in touch you are with what appears before you in this moment. That is to say, you don't have to go anywhere else to connect with the knowledge you need in order to be full and whole and complete in this moment. So through spiritual practices that connect you with what is here and now, mindful breathing, meditation, listening to others intently, or sharing our true self, all of that can be a way of finding a sense of home. And in that, we will be joyful. Nothing is needed that you don't already have already. Hello, dear Magdalene Priya. Radhe 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 Radhe. And hello, Goofy Goosey. Om Tat Sat, you ask, why does the Bhagavad Gita, 5th verse of the 12th chapter, say that the worship of the unmanifest is exceedingly difficult for embodied beings? Let's have a look, shall we? Kleshodhikadharastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hyegatir dukham deva bhadhir avapyate. Klesha, trouble, adhikatara, very much, tesam, of them, avyakta, to the unmanifested, asakta, attached, chetasam, of those whose minds, avyakta, toward the unmanifest, he, certainly, gatihi, progress, duhukam, with trouble, deha, vadbihi, by the embodied, avapyate, is achieved. Rearranging for English's grammatical structure, For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancements is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. I think the key word here is attachment. When we are attached to the idea that the divine is unmanifest, then we are not opening ourselves up to the manifest, which is what's here before us. All of this is the manifest form of the divine. And although we have union at the level of the unmanifest in our soul with the divine, we also still have a body and mind. And it's at that level we're going to experience difficulties if our awareness isn't attending to our bodies and mind and its relation to the manifest form of the divine, which is all around us. In other words, we make things difficult for ourselves by forgetting that the world is just as spiritual as the inner world. And if we can remember that the divine is not just in us, but also outside of us, within everyone that we meet and interact with, life gets a lot easier. For example, then we know that challenges that are coming from the outside are also features of the divine, and we take them with a little more stride, knowing that it isn't just an illusion or machinations of the mind, but the divine play, the Leela. And well said the free bumblebee, isn't this the dance between Shiva and Shakti? Shiva is within, Shakti is without. We can't ignore Shakti. Thank you, dear Anna Foles, for the heart me and the trio of roses you sent. Om Ham Ham Hrim Hrim Namah Shakti Shivaya Shiva Shaktiyai Namo. Hello, dear Mermander. I'm feeling well today, thank you. What is on my heart and mind? Well, right now, all of you. Oh. Fear and uncertainty are part of the path, dear Mermander. Hello, dear Denim. Thank you for finding comfort here, dear Jocelyn. Well said, the Grey King. If the divine is all things, then by my perception it would be both personal and impersonal. Welcome, dear Anthony. I'm glad you like the music. We're listening to 341 Hertz Heart Chakra Healing Sound Path from the Meditative Mind YouTube channel. Riri, you share that the past or the future is what's unmanifest. Good observation. And that tells us something. That when we are perceptive to something more than what is manifest, then we are looking into the energies that remain from the past and the seeds for what are to blossom in the future. And that is the subtler layer of reality. There are many layers to this whole spirit thing, dear Greg RT. Dear Anthony, you ask, if it applies to one, does it apply to you too? We all have different bodies and minds, and what applies to each and every one of our bodies and minds may be different, but at the level of our consciousness, that we all share. And so what applies to my consciousness applies to your consciousness too. And that's why the spiritual path is a universal one. Shiva Sharif for your pair of roses. Om Dum Durgaya Namah. Dear Stevie G, you heard that I already shared your show and tell without you. I did. And it wasn't until after I shared it that I realized, oh wait, you wanted to be here for that. But anyway, it was a wonderful song, dear Stevie G. I am sorry that I forgot too late. We can listen to it again if you want. I love that, Bubbles. See, being attached to the unmanifest form of the divine would be like being obsessed with One Direction, but you don't listen to their music. I like that. Yes. Hello, dear Caden. Who am I, you ask? I don't know. My name is Liam. Friends call me Yam. I'm grateful to be here. I don't know what this is all about, this whole universe. I mean, it's kind of amazing that it exists. But I think I'm gonna make the most use out of it as I possibly can. Learn from everyone. I see I'm not alone in this moist rock hurling through the void. And I am at your service, whatever that means. Anthony, you ask, who do I feel I was first? I was nobody first, and I'll be everybody last. Hello, dear Ellers. Yes, you would like to listen to the song again, dear Stevie G? Sure. Yeah, it was my mistake that I played it before you got here. So yeah. And you don't have to repeat your messages, dear Caden. I go through all the comments and make sure that I see everyone. And if you have a question, I'll definitely get around to it. But I ask that you please give space for everyone else here to also speak their mind too. Hello, dear Glyptic and Jake. You all want to hear Stevie G's song again? I know I do. It was your best one yet. Alright, here it is. Driving through the silence. And that was it. Driving through the silence by Stevie G. You really nailed the silence part. Yeah. Standing ovation. No, just kidding. It wouldn't play. Let's try now.
I took a summer drive to ease my mind. With every mile I drove, hoping I'd finally leave behind every thought of you and every sign. But here I am swerving out of these parallel lines, and everything you said was bullshit. Pushing that pedal to the metal till this engine burns out. Never thought you'd leave me stranded. Now I'm stuck on this drive and the brakes won't give out. Now I'm driving through the silence, and the ghost of you is haunting me in the passenger seat. And all these times I take a violin, 'cause all I think about is just
Sometimes it's supposed to be my friend, but both relationships seem to take an end. But I hear God now screaming, please take my hand. But I say it's too late, like the glass ran out of sand. This was supposed to be what I really wanted, but this is like taking candy from a baby. I cried, cause you took it from me. Why'd you take it from me? Please give me clarity. I wanna know, why did you take my candy? Now I'm driving through the silence, and the ghosts of you is haunting me. The passenger seat, and all these turns to take a violin, cause all I think about is this love we used to bring. I thought we'd find forever, but forever slipped away. I'm lost in the rear view and you're fading away.
Now I'm driving through the silence, when it's supposed to be just one midsummer drive.
Thank you for listening again, everyone. And I'll read what you wrote, dear Stevie G, one more time. That this is the last song that you made with Tyler. This was indeed such a beautifully deep song, and you have one verse in this song. One could say that you're talking or singing to a girl you broke up from, in the silence. Or you could say you're talking or singing to the silence, aka the divine, aka source. I will leave that up to you, you share. I see it as all the same. The song hasn't been released yet, and I think I will drop it on the 21st of March. But anyways, enjoy. Thank you. Thank you for listening, everyone, again to that. I'm sorry, Stevie G, that I played it at the beginning without you. Thank you, Davis, who sent a heart me. Om Tham Namaschandraya. And a tiny yippee. Thank you, dear Shakira, for your heart me and tiny yippee. Shakira says my sound is off. Is that true? I think Shakira's volume might be down. What's with the echo? I'm not sure what the echo is, dear Stevie G. It might have to do with how TikTok mixes the stereo sound. It's happened before while listening that we get this echo effect. I don't exactly know what that's caused by, unfortunately. Sorry about that. Dear Kyle, you share that you changed the labels on your wife's spice rack You're not in trouble, but the time is coming. For cumin. That's good. Hello, dear Laura. Oh, I'm grateful that you take advantage of the lives being put on YouTube. And thank you, Dalita, for the donut that you shared. How sweet. Om Pram Hanumate Namah. Sounds like a good question, dear Anthony. Why does the echo know you're lying about the nature of the question asker? Sounds like a good Zen koan. How much does a rainbow weigh? Asks Neon Jello Pike. You know, you could probably calculate that. Because although light has no mass, it does have energy. And you could see what it would convert to in an equivalent amount of mass. Be very little. Probably way less than a single electron in total, maybe. Or maybe more than that. Probably no more than a single atom, perhaps. I don't know, we'll have to do a calculation. We'd have to calculate the luminance of the rainbow and the energy density, and then with Einstein's E equals mc squared, plug in E and solve for m. Good evening, Anasag. I ruined your joke, Neon Jello Pack. You asked, how much does a rainbow weigh? It's pretty light. Crossfires, you share that each color probably has a different weight too. It's true. Yeah. Low energy light is red. And as you go higher on the rainbow, it's higher energy light. The light that gets detected as violet is about twice as energetic, I believe, as the light that gets detected as red. Something like that. That's true as well, dear Bubbles. The light from a rainbow has to refract through water. So if the water is part of the rainbow, we have to add up all the little drops of water. But where did the raindrops come from? From a cloud? The raindrops wouldn't exist without the clouds, and clouds can weigh as much as whales. But the light itself wouldn't exist if it didn't come from the sun. What does the sun weigh? Oof. It more than I can lift, that's for sure. Thank you, dear Anazek, for your heartbeat. Om Pram Bhairvaya Namo Namah. Dear Sarah Lynn, thank you for your heartbeat. Om Kham Jahnavya Namah. Wait, so we're trying to tell you, dear Greg Archie, that the sun isn't pretty light too? You're funny. Salutations to you, Kaiten, for your subscription. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukamiva bandhana mrityormukshiya mamritat. Thank you, Laurie, for your tiny diary and your finger heart and quintet of roses. Yahoo! Dear Jake, you ask if I've ever heard of a quantum entanglement of a physical self and a spiritual self. I've never heard of that, but what a beautiful idea that is. Drawing from the analogies of quantum mechanics, of quantum entanglement, when the state of two parts of a system may be entangled in such a way that observing one reveals the nature of the other, even without direct observation of the other. That sounds a lot like the relationship between the spirit and the physical. Because we cannot directly observe the spirit because it is the observer. But our body we can observe. And many other people's bodies also in this world. And by observing the world, that does reveal a lot about our spirit. So I think it's a beautiful analogy. Dear Mermander, you ask, have I read The Art of Living and his cloud rain metaphor? Beautiful. I have not. The only books I read are the ones I read to you. Yeah, can you even bench the sun, bro? If I tried, I'd just become the sun. It'd be over very quickly. And then you could say that I'd be lifting the sun just by being it. Thank you, dear Anna, for the ice cream cone that you sent. Om Kam Namah Prajapataye. Thank you for your appreciation and gratitude, dear Oren. It's a beautiful binary between the divine feminine and masculine, dear Anthony. Forgiveness and truth. Mukti, you're wondering how old I am. In this body? 23. But who's counting? My mother. Your father blesses your grandmother the moment she sneezes, because he is purity and she is bleeding. It's very poetic, dear Anthony. Dear Laura, you got some news today that has you left drained. You learned that you will need open heart surgery. I understand that can be pretty draining news. Yeah, the bad news is that you're gonna have to do something that's scary. And it'll require a lot of faith and confidence. The good news is that they found something that they can do to help your body be more healthy. And you're being taken care of by healthcare professionals. And could you imagine how drained you'd be if you didn't get that news? Could you imagine if nobody knew that you will need open heart surgery? My goodness, how much quicker your life may drain with a heart that is in need of repair. So, on one hand, this is a challenging experience, but on the other hand, this is great news, because it means the universe has found a way to take care of you. Thank you, Raven, for affirming that my energy is best utilized in the spiritual form. rather than thermonuclear fusion at the heart of a star. I'm a sunflower. Thank you, little Magwai. My mother got a tattoo of a sunflower with her mother in mind, her birth mother. And I do feel like sunflowers are what defines my motherly line. I wish I was in Stranger Things. Dear Emo. I do kind of look like that actor. I'm forgetting his name. But he's much more talented at acting than I am, that's for sure. Of course, dear Laurie. And I will pray for you that your surgery goes well, and even before it goes well, that you feel peaceful and calm. Dear Roshi, you're wondering where am I based? I am based on the west coast of Canada, where it's only 7 p.m. Sun has gone down for me, but it's getting lighter every day, and soon enough we'll be doing outside live streams again in the sun. I imagine it's probably pretty late for most of you, or very early. Hello, dear Miss Bliss. Mukti, you share for you, it's 4:24 in the morning. Ah, you are in the hour of God. Brahma Muhurta. You're from the UK, dear Roshi. It's 3 in the morning for you. My goodness, well, I hope you get some rest soon. Namaste. You're also from the west coast of Canada, dear Armin. Well, would you look at that? Hello, dear Raven. Anthony, you share the 24 has always been a chill number. I like the number 24. Yeah. 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Isn't it? It's got a nice prime factorization. 2 to the 3 times 3. So, Stevie G, you ask, who did I think you were talking to in the song? Who took your candy? An ex or God? You were talking to the silence, to your ex, and to God, all at the same time, dear Stevie G. And who took your candy? No one took your candy, because all of that sweetness is still inside you. I think it's very sweet when there's conversations going on amongst Sanghis. It's nice that the space is so free. Dear Raven, you're wondering if I can talk about Aleph Null. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Aleph, I think it's A-L-E-P-H, and then Null, N-U-L-L. Aleph Null. Yeah. Where have you heard that? That is the smallest cardinal infinity in mathematics. That's the infinity we think of when we imagine how many whole numbers there are. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That type of infinity, it's called the countable infinity. Because in theory, you could count them all one by one. Not in any finite time, of course, but 0, 1, 2, 3, you're not going to miss any. So it's a small kind of infinity. It's the smallest infinity. The second smallest infinity, or actually I shouldn't say that, because there might be another infinity in between Aleph Null and Aleph 1. We just don't know. It's called the continuum hypothesis. The second smallest infinity, or in other words, the infinity that's larger than countable infinity, the first uncountable infinity, is all of the numbers on a spectrum. And when you think of a continuum, not just an infinite discrete set of points, 0, 1, 2, but you think about filling in that space completely. In between every 2 points, there's another point that you could never get to the next point. That kind of idea, you get the flavor of that. That is an infinity that's much bigger than Aleph Null. That's Aleph 1. And then the next infinity larger than that, Aleph 2, we're already kind of going beyond what we're ordinarily familiar with. That would be if you think about all the ways that you could color a painting, all the ways you could paint a painting, for example. Because you have this continuum before you, but now you're talking about the ways of breaking up that continuum with different subsets of color and light. That would be an even bigger infinity. That would be Aleph 2. And then you think about, okay, what about all the different ways that you could paint the same painting? What do you start with first? That would be an even higher infinity. That'd be Aleph 3. And then after that, I don't know if I have an example, but it goes up from that. It goes to Aleph 4, Aleph 5, Aleph 6, Aleph 7, and then you're like counting with finite numbers, but with infinities. But each infinity is not plus 1 bigger. It's actually very precisely an exponent of the prior. It turns out, even though that when you add 1 to an infinity, it's the same infinity. If you multiply an infinity by 2 or 10 or a million, it's the same infinity. But if you exponentiate an infinity, you do get something even larger, which is really interesting. So if you take the number 2, for example, and you take the number 2 and you raise it to the power of Aleph Naught or Aleph Null, then you'll get Aleph 1. And so 2 to the power of Aleph 1 would give you Aleph 2, and you go higher than that. And then you think about how you could do that infinitely, and you get all the way to Aleph Omega, which is like infinity inception, because now that's 2 to the power of 2 Aleph Naught times with an Aleph Naught at the end. And you get Aleph Omega, then Aleph Omega plus 1, and then you get to Aleph Omega squared, Aleph Omega to the Omega, Aleph Omega to the Omega-th tetration, and you start climbing even higher orders of infinity. And every time that you want to get to the next highest infinity, you have to think outside of the box. You have to introduce an entirely new way of getting there. Higher order hyper-operations. Lots of different kinds of infinities. Literally infinitely many kinds of infinities. And so a mathematician named Georg Cantor asked a funny question. It's a natural question if you're following this logic. If there are infinitely many different sizes of infinities, which of those infinities describes how many infinities there are? It's a very subtle but profound question. Is the number of infinities described by the smallest countable infinity? Or is it Aleph 1, the cardinality of the continuum infinity? You're right, Crossfires. It's none. Naturally, the amount of orders of infinity is actually even larger than any infinity that makes up that class. So, that actually tells us of the existence of something even bigger than infinity. If you think about it, because there's no infinity large enough to describe how many infinities there are, that means that the totality of all infinities is something even bigger than the concept of infinity, no matter how big of an infinity you think of. And that's the nature of our source, of the seed of this universe. It cannot even be described to as infinite. It is trans-infinite, beyond the finite, beyond even the infinite. So that's my exploration of Aleph Null and where it leads to. Thank you for providing me the opportunity to talk about that, dear Raven. And thank you. Oh, I haven't seen you in a while, dear Jank. Thank you for your rose. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Dear Apple user, you're wondering if I know Gnosticism. And you share a funny idea that Gnosticism is superior to the Vedas. That's funny to me, because Gnosticism comes from the Vedas. Another word for the Vedas is jnana, and it's from that word jnana that you get the root of Gnosticism. It's actually where we get the word knowledge in English too. If you wonder why there's a letter K at the front of the verb to know and other forms like knowledge, it actually wasn't always silent. In Old English, you'd pronounce the K. You'd actually say to know. Likewise, in Greek philosophy, there's a form of knowledge called Gnosticism, and you subtly pronounce the G. Eventually, the G became unvoiced, and that makes it a K, from Gna to Kna, and we stopped pronouncing the K. And the G is actually a shift back from the original palatal J in the Sanskrit Jña, which is incredibly difficult to pronounce. No wonder we made it silent eventually. From jnana to Gnosticism to knowledge to knowledge. Yeah, it's all one, and no particular form is superior. The idea of superior forms of spirituality or philosophy is ultimately unhelpful, because it presupposes that some are on a path that's better than others. And the truth is that everyone is on the right path. If you follow the path of Jnana Yoga, if you follow the path of Gnosticism, if you follow any of the world's religions or philosophies, and it makes you a happier person, then it works for you. no path is superior objectively, but to the individual, there may be a path that works for them. And maybe that path changes as they grow up. Perhaps a person starts in one philosophy and ends in another religion, but that doesn't mean the philosophy that they started with is inferior to the religion they ended in. It's just a matter of what is needed for the individual at that time. And we are all growing, learning. It's true, Zaya. Or sorry, you told me that your name is pronounced Zia. English is so funny. We just imagine the letter when speaking and everyone understands. Right? Hello, dear Rock Vision. Roshi, you asked, why did the letter K become silent? English is funny in that our sounds change, but our spelling doesn't. This is actually very unique. Not a lot of languages are like this. Many languages, when the sounds change, they spell it according to how we change the sound. English is kind of locked into late Middle English. Older versions of English, it was pronounced how it was spelled, but we never updated the spelling. Whereas in other languages, we either update the spelling to match the way we speak it, or we stick by the spelling and it continues to stay the same. But I think it's just a difficult consonant cluster. We have a K and an N. To kano, it doesn't very flow that easily. It doesn't flow that easily. Knowledge. Even that might take some practice. Thank you, dear Jake, for the rose that you sent. Om Ganganapataye Namah. And dear Titanium Ovaries, thank you for your heart and septet of roses. Om Kringalikaye Namah. If you wanted a more metaphysical reason as to why the letter K was silenced, we can look at the element that it represents. It is said by the ancient speakers of the first languages that our sounds created the reality we speak. And each sound corresponds to an element of nature and an energy. There are 5 elements and 3 energies. The element of the guttural sounds, like K, is akasha, space. And the energy of unvoiced plosives is tamas, is destructive. So the letter K represents the destructive quality of space itself. Therefore, we could metaphoric or metaphysically interpret the silencing of K in the word knowledge to mean how we've forgotten that space has a destructive quality to it. In other words, we have forgotten that everything returns back to space. Space is the final resting place of all forms. We can interpret that in reference to the concept of death. We forget that death is the space in which we return to, non-different from the space which we originate from. Thank you, dear Raven, for the galaxy that you sent. Om Bhurmhuvasva Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Thank you, Kathleen, for your octet of roses. Harihi Om Tat Sat. And Donsuela, you share that knife in Danish is kniv, or pronounced similar to canoe. Yeah. Some languages that share cognates with English retain the pronunciation. Very cool. Thank you for that, Donsuela. Dear Koi, you remember getting yelled at in elementary for spelling K and no. Aw. Dear Rock Vision, you had no idea about this BAPS temple, and it's the second biggest in the world and 10 miles from you in New Jersey. Ah, there you go. Yeah, I've actually seen that temple. One of the Sangis here sent me a video. He wasn't supposed to, because you're not supposed to take videos in it, but it was a very personal and intimate look inside, and it was lovely. Amazing. Everything is decorated. Philip, you had asked how did I get this background. It's very simple. I'll show you. So I have a tapestry behind me that it looks like space, and there's this video playing. I've selected the color blue as a chroma key, and I'll show you the video that's playing behind it. This is the video, and I just put the video behind that in the sources. I'm streaming from my desktop, which is where you get a much more elaborate streaming software that TikTok provides called TikTok Live Studio. Paul, you're wondering if I can talk about being in peace. Are you still here, dear Paul? Thank you for your patience. Being in peace? Well, your being is peace itself. You are. We often talk about going within to find peace, but it's not very practical advice. If you take it literally, what does that mean? How do we go within to find peace? Of course you could meditate, but in day-to-day life, when you're in a difficult circumstance, it's not like you can just go within when there's someone in front of you that needs your attention, challenging your peace. So instead, think of that internal peace, I would recommend, not as something to find inside you, but find inside everybody, everything. Imagine that peace is like the fire that exists within wood. You could say, maybe a little tongue-in-cheek, but still you know what I mean, that there is fire latent in the wood. Before it's lit on fire, that energy that makes up the fire, all that light, all that heat, it's stored in a potential state in the wood. It just takes the right circumstance to bring that out of it. That the fire doesn't add anything new to the wood, because it comes from something that was already inside of it. In the same way, you don't have to break open wood to find fire. You just have to bring it out. You don't have to go within, literally, to find your peace. You just have to bring it out. So how do you bring it out? That's the next question. Maybe I'll ask that in return. How do you bring it out? Thank you, Jill, for your trio of tiny diamonds. Thank you for your hand hearts. Jaya Sachidananda. And dear Anna, thank you for your friendship necklace. Om Kring Kali Kayena. Hello, dear Qualia. Njabulo. You miss my old videos. I'm grateful that they meant something to you, but I'm happy to have you here. And any topic that you liked about those videos, I'd be happy to explore them with you live. Dear Arwen, you're wondering if I have any books that are a favorite of mine on spirituality that I recommend. Honestly, not really. No. Did I see your message on love, dear Stevie G? I don't think I did see it. Sorry. Dear Koi, you had asked what comes after death. I don't know. But I know that it must be very similar to what comes before life. Dear Ricardo, you shared that your dad wants to get close again, so he bought you Atlas Shrugged. How should you react? Well, that's a personal choice how you react. I actually was interviewing an author, the author of the book Moksha Liberation, and in her book she had referenced indirectly Atlas Shrugged, and G2 Infinity actually noticed that and had asked me to ask her about that in the interview. And the interview's on my YouTube, and if you want to check that out. And I don't know much about Atlas Shrugged other than what she told me, and she said it's a very depressing book from a very depressive person. So that tells me that if that is a book that resonates with your dad probably has a very depressing worldview. Maybe. I don't know. That's just my guess, based on what little information I have. And so if your dad is going through something difficult, if he's got unhealed trauma, thank him for that book. And maybe you can read it together. Maybe you can explore and very gently point out the limitations of such worldviews and help him open up to the child, the inner child that, he sees in you. Perhaps. Dear Zia, you share sometimes it's very hard not to retreat from this world. To go within is a tempting offer. I understand, dear Zia. Hello, dear Tim. Starry King, you're wondering if I could say that again about peace being brought out from within rather than found from within. Yeah. Instead of trying to find peace, express peace is basically what I'm saying. That if you assume it's already there, then it's there. Peace is something whose existence depends only on our belief. If we believe we are peaceful within, then we can draw from that peace and share that peace with others. I'm happy that resonate with you, dear Paul. Much love, dear Stevie G. Thank you for sending us all love, peace, and harmony. Yeah. And the metaphor with wood and fire is that the fire isn't something you add to the wood. We say that the wood is flammable, meaning that it can catch fire. But the fire reduces the wood, which means that the fire is coming from the wood. So, the ancient beings would say in a very direct way that fire is in the wood. And maybe in modern scientific vernacular we'd phrase it in a different way, but the point is that it's already in there. You just have to get it out. And the same thing is true with our peace. That our peace is already inside us. We don't have to break open the wood to find the fire. We just bring out our peace. But the difference between wood and us is that we can never be exhausted by sharing our peace, because that peace is an infinite reservoir. Meanwhile, the fire is a finite energy. Hello, dear Jada. Hello, Moonlight. Hello, I Like Rocks. Dear Lauren, you're wondering, what advice would I say to someone who easily feels left out? Don't leave yourself out. If you feel left out, then that means you're leaving yourself out. Now let me be very clear. I don't mean that you are causing others to exclude you. I mean the feeling of being excluded comes from you. Because if someone excludes you from a group and you feel like that's your loss, then you clearly have excluded yourself, because it's not your loss, it's their loss. If you truly believe that you are a valuable addition to this world, then you haven't lost anything from another person setting a boundary with you, because everything that you are is still with you. So don't leave yourself out by feeling that you've lost anything. Include yourself by remembering that every part of you that's valuable is still in your own company. Become your own best friend, and you will attract that. What we feel about ourselves deep down reflects what happens around us. And sometimes the universe sends us those lessons of exclusion so that we remember to include ourselves. I hope that makes sense. Thank you, John Simon, for the heart me that you sent. Om Shri Mahalakshmiyai Namaha. And dear Chris, thank you for your pair of ice cream cones and roses. Radhe Radhe. Thank you, Anazak, for your 30 roses. Om Namah Karim Ambita Me Shorin Nadita Me Harin Devita Me Aim Sarasvatyai Swaha. Thank you, Jasmine, for being here. I've been live for an hour and 50 minutes, dear Gabriel. Dear JK, you share you need to go to a job interview, but you feel like you would terribly fail any job. Anxiety is bad. Then make anxiety good and feel like you will win at any job. And you'll be fighting off people who want to hire you. Believe in yourself. And the universe protects you from jobs that you're not meant to have. If someone doesn't hire you, why would you want to work at a place that doesn't see your value? That's a beautiful thing to do, Ricardo. Hello, dear Mariham. Hello, Lou. Zia, you ask, do I think the world is big or small? When I think about my body, the world is very big. But when I think about my consciousness, the world is very small. I actually don't know much about Vipassana, dear Gabriel. But Vairāgya is a very important thing. Vairāgya means that you understand that there's nothing in the world that can add to you. That you are not increased by anything in the world. You are consciousness. Consciousness cannot be heightened by anything in this world, but you can heighten the world. So Vairāgya is the switching of the flow from trying to get something from the world to trying to give something to the world. Hello, dear Riddle. Thank you for coming back. You're always welcome to come and go freely. Thank you, Jake, for your heartbeat. Om Bharam Bhairvaya Namo Namah. I'm happy what I said resonated with you, dear Lauren. Chris, you ask, what are the 5 magical gifts from the Garden of Eden? One was the apple. It's a good question. I don't know. Perhaps you could teach me. Dear Paul, you ask, what do I feel people's ultimate purpose is? Purpose. Finding your purpose is the ultimate purpose. No, really. When you are on the search, you are most purposeful. When you are continuing to discover what empowers you, it's the continuity of that path that is the most purposeful, isn't it? Thank you, Julie, for your rose. Om Aim Saraswatyaya Namah. No, I'm not familiar with who that is, dear Tim. Dear Chocolate Milk Forever, you ask, how did the burning laptop go? Well, I switched to my desktop and it hasn't caught on fire yet, so it's going well, I think. Thank you, dear Crystal. You've been just diagnosed with grade 3 stereosis and you've never been more scared. You have nothing to be afraid of, dear Crystal. You are afraid of the unknown. But in the unknown, there is possibility. The only thing you have to grieve is the fear itself that your life may go just in a different way than in the way you had thought it would. But that doesn't mean there's any less chance for happiness, for love, for making a difference in this world. Your journey will still be a meaningful one, and you will still be happy. Dear Gabriel, you share that after being detached, feeling detached from a retreat, it can be hard to readjust to regular life. I understand. It's always a great reminder that Vairāgya is best translated to non-attachment. And the difference between non-attachment and detachment is that in detachment, you've gone the other direction unnecessarily, to the point where you're now averse from the world. Non-attachment is the balance, where you're not chasing after anything in the world, nor are you running away from anything in the world. You're free. You're happy to be where you are. I like that, Zia. Are we going to cringe at the surreal nature of existence, or are we going to live and enjoy it? It's beautiful. Dear Paul, you ask, what do I feel stimulates creativity? Well, creativity is associated with our sacral chakra, and that's to do with procreation. There's a reason creativity is found in procreativity. That if you are bringing life into this world, then that is an act of creation. That act can happen more physically, biologically, but it can also happen more, well, creatively. Imagine, just as a parent would, that their baby is adding something to this world, that your art does too, and you will feel the creative energies flow. Dear Ritil, you ask, have I read the Bible or much of it? I find the Bible is so powerful that I can't get through it. I read the first few lines of Genesis and I'm entranced. I think they're beautiful. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's all I need to know. Everything I need to know is found in that one verse. The rest is just flair. Hello, dear Tatomasi. My mom is doing better now. Thank you for asking. Yes, she's healing from her falling from the swing. Thank you, dear Shati, for your hand hearts and your 83 roses and another septet of roses. Om Mani Padme Hum. And Sunshine Hippie, thank you for your rosa. Om Narayanaya Vidmahe Vasudevaya Dhimahi Tanno Vishnu Prachodayat. Dear Shati, you share that you think your son is non-attached. You worry about him. You are very much a humanitarian and he is not. It sounds like your son is detached rather than non-attached. In fact, humanitarianism is a natural blossoming of someone who is non-attached. Because non-attachment includes engagement with the world in a selfless way. When we're attached to the world, we become selfish. But when we're non-attached to the world, we become selfless, like you are doing. And you are a great role model for your son in that way. And I'm sure there's many lessons that he still has to learn from you. That's a great undertaking, dear Rital. I am sure that such a holy text will serve you well. Dear Gabriel, you ask, how come I don't mention Genesis being a mistranslation? Is that not important anymore? Well, it's all to do with my intention of what I share. And to be honest, I used to share that Genesis was mistranslated from a place within me that felt like I knew better than others. And although it's true that we can explore more scholarly translations of the Hebrew, I realized that there's still truth in every translation. We can still find value in whatever form it comes in. And I don't mean to superimpose my own narrative and my own personal translation that I feel is better than what other people may be familiar with. So I've grown in that way. I don't know what that is, dear Reese. A new spiritualist? I'm an ancient being. Like we all are. I think there's some healing you still have to go through, dear Gabriel, and I still wish you well with that. And it can be very healing to understand that there are many different translations. Indeed. How can you find that value? Asks Shrimpnist. You may find value nowhere, because value isn't to be found, it is to be generated. Generate value. Thank you, dear I Am Princess Mom, for your heartbeat. Bhram Bhairvaya Namo Namah. Dear Reese, you share that new spiritualists are part of a religion that believe that everything is God. I see. I'm not part of any religion or organization. And God being everything is not a belief. It's an experience. Everyone can experience that. And it requires no conversion to any belief system, no taking on of any authority. It doesn't require going outside of your own experience. All we have to do is look deeply at this moment and realize that if everything has come from the source, then nothing can exist separate from that source. If God is omnipresent, meaning within everything, then there's nothing we can look at that is not God. Now, this doesn't mean that what we look at is all there is to God. This is just yet another aspect of the divine as the manifest form. And if that is hard to understand, think of it in terms of an artist and her art. That although there is a meaningful distinction between the art and the artist, truly, the art is a deep expression of the artist herself. And so by looking at the art, you are looking at the artist in a way. And it's in the same way that we are face to face with our Maker through everything that He has made. What material is my necklace? Asks the white moth. This is Rudraksha seeds. Thank you, dear Veri, for your heartbeat. Ham Tham Namaschanduraya. And dear Reese, thank you for your heartbeat. Kali Maha Kali Kalike Parameshwari Sarvanandakari Devi Narayani Namostute. I'm so grateful for your presence here, dear Sunshine Hippie. I can type that in chat, dear the white moth. There. Rudraksha seeds. Is it true that you're not supposed to wear those to sleep? There are malas that you're supposed to take off in certain situations. For example, a mala made out of tulasi wood, a devotee of Krishna, they take off their malas when they eat. They take off their malas if they're engaging in chicka chicka bang bang. They take off their malas if they're sleeping, for example. And that's to do with the divinity that presides in the mala. If the mala is for Vishnu or any form, Vishnu is said to be the abode of sattva, of goodness, of purity, and people who are attracted to that quality of the divine tend not to want to associate with the other qualities of rajas or tamas. And sleep and eating and procreation may be considered tamasic or rajasic and not sattvic. So the malas are only worn during sattvic things. However, Rudraksha malas are dedicated to Shiva, who is the abode of tamas. Tamas being the darkest quality of the rest. You can wear your Rudraksha malas no matter what you're doing. You can wear Rudraksha malas while you're sleeping, while you're eating, while you're chicka chicka bang banging, while you're doing whatever. There are absolutely no qualifications for what you're doing while wearing Rudraksha. And that's unique because it's Shiva's mala. It would be different if it was for any other form of the divine. And if you want to learn more about this, there are a couple of different Upanishads that describe Rudraksha. So you can look up those texts. Tamas, yes, Tamas. Tamas is the quality of destruction or darkness or dissolution or heedlessness. It's said that there are 3 qualities of material existence. There is the power of creation, that's rajas, the power of sustenance, preservation, that's sattva, and then there's the power of destruction or dissolution, and that's tamas. Can you drink alcohol? You can drink alcohol. I choose not to, personally. But devotees of Shiva are allowed to engage in tamasic behavior as long as they find a balance in their life. I personally don't drink alcohol or smoke weed or do any sort of drug, and I only eat vegetarian food. But that is not a requirement. It's a personal choice of mine. Thank you, dear moon goddess, for your rose. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Dear Louis, you ask, what are my thoughts on the new advancement of cryptocurrency? I think having a decentralized system of currency is a good idea. How to implement that effectively is something that we have yet to see, however. And I look forward to the continued research done at a theoretical level and the various practical implementations of it that we'll see. Thank you, Separatio, for your heart mate. Om Namah Shivaya. I feel the same way, dear Zia. The White Moth, you ask, what are my dreams like? My dreams are ordinary in some points and incredibly abstract in other times. I'll tell you a recent dream I had. I had a dream that I was in a superhero battle and we were flying, and my opponent had laser vision, and our battle was taking place all around the world and in space and in the sky, and we flew over to Paris, and I was just trying to calm down this angry being. and he shot lasers out of his eyes and even lasered the Eiffel Tower in half. Marishka Hargate, dear Sadie. And I was trying to slow down time to the point that I could even redirect the individual photons that were coming through his third eye. And that was fun. Yeah, there wasn't really any resolution to that story because I woke up after that, but there's an example of my dreams. Yes, you are very connected to the subtle plane, dear Zia. Thank you, I am Princess Mom, for your finger heart. Here's one for you too. How are you feeling, dear Sadie? No, of course you may ask, my inner mystic. I don't mind personal questions. I've got nothing to hide. I will be careful to protect personal information from other people in my life, but I am an open book. And I don't mind telling you my age is 23. Now, I'd love to have another episode of, you know what it is. Ruminations, where we listen to the poetry of the Sufi mystic Rumi. We continue through the selection of the Mathnawi section in the Pocket Rumi. This poem is called Sacred Work. Don't strive so much to complete your worldly affairs. Don't strive in any affair that's not sacred. Otherwise, at the end, you'll leave incomplete, your spiritual affairs damaged, and your bread unbaked. The beautifying of your grave isn't done by means of wood and stone and plaster. No, but by digging your grave in spiritual purity and by burying your own selfhood in His. And by becoming His dust, buried in love of Him, so that by His breath yours may be replenished. That's not a word. Replenished? Replenished. I think I mixed resplendent and replenished. Anyway. Sacred work. This poem is called Apprenticeship. If anybody goes traveling without a guide, every 2 days' journey becomes a journey of 100 years. The one who takes up a profession without having had a teacher becomes a laughing stock, no matter where they live. Except perhaps for a single occurrence in all the world, is a descendant of Adam ever born without parents? The one who earns great wealth is a rare event to find a buried treasure. Or I think I messed up the ending of that one too. The one who earns great wealth It's a rare event to find a buried treasure. And finally, this poem is called Catch the Scent. Whether one moves slowly or with speed, the one who is a seeker will be a finder. Always seek with your whole self, for the search is an excellent guide on the way. Though you are lame and limping, though your figure is bent and clumsy, always creep towards the one. Make that one your quest. By speech and by silence and by fragrance, catch the scent of the king everywhere. Thank you for listening. Oh, maybe one more, just for my dear Goofy Goosey. The Hiding Place, this is called. The most secure place to hide a treasure of gold is in some desolate, unnoticed place. Why would anyone hide treasure in plain sight? And so it is said, joy is hidden beneath sorrow. Thank you for listening. This has been another episode of Ruminations. If you're interested in sharing any insights, please do. If you ever want to hear any of the readings that we do, I clip them all out and put them on my Yamsox Live's YouTube channel. Glad to hear that you have an appreciation for poetry too, dear TY. Thank you, dear Laura Lee, for the half a dozen roses you sent. Om Brahmane Namah. And Lilyamor, thank you for your heart me and your non-active roses. Om Ashvini Bhyam Namah. Dear Tan, how are you? Thank you for your heart me. Om Dom Durgaya Namah. Thank you, Anazek, for your finger heart. Om Am Namah Parashakdaye. Thank you, Sunshine Hippie, for your rose tone. Om Kamalir Mahakalikaye Namah. Thank you, Chris, for your ice cream cone and rose or rose. Om Hrim Namah Shakti Shivaya. You're very welcome, dear G to Infinity. I don't think I have read poems by Robert Wells, dear TY, but thank you for the suggestion. Radhe, Radhe, dearest Hari. I am Princess Mom. You ask, was my friend surprised by the donation of all the gifts the other day? You hope they are well. Yes, in fact, our community was able to raise, not just in the live stream, but in total, privately. I haven't checked, but over 400 pounds, sterling pounds, because she lives in the UK, which is a lot of money. And I'm so grateful that we were able to help someone who was struggling to pay their bills. I'd like to do more of that in the future, but yeah, she didn't know what to say. Very grateful that we were able to help her with that. Yeah. And for those that were confused, yesterday all of the gifts that were sent in this live stream were given to our Sanghi, our community member, Michelle, aka Cat Ears, who's going through a hard time. And there was a private donation link to sent around in the Telegram group chat. Or that was not yesterday, but Monday's live stream. That's right. Yeah, I spent a nice day yesterday doing other things. Can you join the Telegram? Everyone's welcome to join, dear Paul. It's just in the link tree in the bio. There's a little icon for Telegram, as well as an icon for Discord, if you want to join the server too. It's funny, Zia. In reference to the poem of Rumi's we read, "You know you smell God when you walk past a bakery." Right? Thank you, Mirna. Now, I'd like to bring our live stream to a close and end with a meditation. But before we do that, let me remind you all, now that I can bring up my web browser. If you can see this is my link tree, and I'm showing this because there's a new link, and that's the meme submission. You'll see it up here, and I'm going to be doing a recurring meme segment, memes to do with our community, to show our humility. I think we touch on a lot of sincere topics, but that doesn't mean that we take ourselves too seriously, so I hope to use that as an opportunity for communal bonding. Very simple if you want to go check that out. But yeah, I invite you into the meditation at the end of our Sangha today. We need to enjoy the gift of laughter. I concur, dear. I am Princess Mom. Thank you, Sunshine Hippie. Hello, Beth and Sally. Today's meditation is going to be very simple. We're going to do the triple peace prayer mantra. Aum Shanti Shanti Shanti. I've included the Devanagari script up here and the International Alphabet of Sanskrit transliteration. There's a few points that I'd like to tell you. The O of the Om and the A of the Shanti. These are long, literally in terms of vowel length. The M with a dot under it at the end of Om is a pure nasalization known as the Anuswara, the before sound. And the S with the accent on top of it is just the regular SH sound, as you know in English. And the H at the end of Shanti, that's a breath expulsion known as a Vairāgya. And you only really hear it at the end of the final Shanti. That's if no sound follows it. If a Vairāgya is placed before a sibilant, like the palatal sibilant sha, then it actually takes on the sound of the sibilant. So you'll hear just an extra long sh of Shanti when it's in between these two here. All together, one more time. It sounds like Aum Shanti Shanti Shanti, meaning Om, peace, peace, peace. It's said that Sanskrit sounds are intimately tied with their meaning, and so just by chanting peace, peace, peace in Sanskrit, that we can take on that sense as well. So I'll turn down our background music and I'll grab the Rudraksha mala from around your neck that you've been energizing for me. Thank you. I lathered it in sandalwood oil today, so it's extra lovely smelling. You want to smell? We'll be using this to count out 108 repetitions so that we don't have to. We'll start just after the Guru bead and we'll end just before it too. Just as the Guru tells us where to begin meditating and when to stop. This is our Guru. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. 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 Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. The reason we chanted twice is for these three things. Thrice. May there be peace in us, may there be peace in our environment, and may there be peace in the forces that act on us. Please forgive me if I got lost in that mantra and didn't advance my beat, but always better to do more repetitions than fewer. So if we did more than 108, I'm sorry, but bonus points. Namaste. That concludes our meditation, and with it our live stream. So thank you very much for chanting with me, or for listening, for meditating together. I hope you are feeling peaceful. Thank you to those who sent a gift whilst we meditated. Dear John Tyler, thank you for your heart me and trio of roses. Om Sadhyo Jatam Prapadyami Sadhyo Jataya Vai Namo Namah Bhave Bhave Nati Bhave Bhavasva Mam Bhavod Bhavaya Namah. Thank you, dear Tatvamasi, for your trio of roses too. Om Vamadevaya Namo Jeshtaya Namah Shreshtaya Namo Rudraya Namah Kalaya Namah Kalvikaranaya Namo Balaya Namo Balavikaranaya Namo Balapramatanaya Nama Sarva Bhuta Damenaya Namo Manonmenaya Nama. Thank you, I am Princess Mom, for another finger heart. Om Aghorebhyo Ta Ghorebhyo Aghora Ghore Tarebhyaham Sarvatash Sarva Sarvebhyo Namaste Rudra Rupebhyaham. Dear Zia, thank you for your rose. Om Tat Puruṣaya Vidmahe Mahadevaya Dhimahi Tanno Rudra Prachodayat. And Hopscott, thank you for your little crown and fortnight's worth of finger hearts. Om Ishana Sarva Vidyanam Ishvar Sarva Bhutanam Brahmadipati Brahmanodhipatir Brahma Shivo me astu sa eva sada Shiva Om. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to my lovely moderators who help keep the peace. Thank you, Dancing Aurora Borealis, for your trio of roses. Om Bhairava Rudraya Maharudraya Kala Rudraya Kalpanta Rudraya Veera Rudraya Rudra Rudraya Ghora Rudraya Aghora Rudraya Mardana Rudraya Anda Rudraya Brahmanda Rudraya Chanda Rudraya Prachanda Rudraya Tanda Rudraya Shura Rudraya Veera Rudraya Bhava Rudraya Bhima Rudraya Atala Rudraya Vitala Rudraya Sutala Rudraya Mahatala Rudraya Rasatala Rudraya Talatala Rudraya Patala Rudraya Namo Namaha. Oh, your presence is more than enough as a present, dear M31 Andromeda. Thank you for being here. Om Ham Ham Hrim Hrim Nama Shakti Shivaya Shiva Shaktiyai Nama Om. And big thanks to my love G2 Infinity for being such a source of wisdom and a reflection of light for me and us all here. I truly see the divine within you. And to you and everyone here, may this live stream be an offering. Am Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to the light, from death to deathlessness. Om. May there be peace in us, may there be peace in our environment, and may there be peace in the forces that act on us. Where can you find the playlist of this music? Asks Ellipses, aka Twin Point Blade. You can find this on the Meditative Mind YouTube channel. It's called 341 Hertz Heart Chakra Healing Sound Bath. It's copyrighted music that my YouTube recording is going to be flagged with. And with so, it gives you the ability to click on the copyrighted music. So I'm using that as a feature to help you find it. And also as proof that I don't monetize my videos, because I can't. I intentionally use copyrighted music. So this live stream will be available there, along with the meditation and the readings and the show and tell. They all have their own playlists there. It's all linked in the link tree in my bio. And if there's anything that I couldn't attend to live, please know that my inbox is open on Instagram, Telegram, WhatsApp, email. You can send me a message. Everything I do is for free. Thank you, Shana. May you all have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, your morning, your evening, or your night, whatever time it is for you. I will pray for your son, dear EXO2. May he find a diet that works well for his sugar levels. Ashvini Bhyam Namah. May you all have, most importantly, a wonderful rest of your present moment. Namaste.